have no clear-cut proof of Al Qaeda's involvement in any anti-state activity. अमेरिकनों को हमारे अंदरूनी हालात से या हमारी वेलफेयर से हमारी अच्छाई से इतनी मोहब्बत कब से हो गई है? तो पाकिस्तान मुतासर हो रहा है ना करप्शन से। ये तो बात जाहिर है कि पाकिस्तान में करप्शन किस लेवल पर नहीं फैली हुई। पाकिस्तान इज ए इम्पोर्टेंट प्लेयर इन फाइट अगेंस्ट टेररिज्म।
Viewers, keep watching to the point with Ejaz Khan. Moin Uddin Haider, born on 5th of June 1942, retired Lieutenant General from Pakistan Army after serving 35 years. He served as a Governor Sindh, a province of Pakistan, between 1997 to 1999. He served as a Minister for Interior from 1999 to 2002 in the Mission era, Chairman of the Fatmi Foundation. He is a social worker. He is heading 6 schools for the education for disadvantaged children in Pakistan. Today, he will be the guest of Today to the Point with Ejaz Khan. We will talk frankly and try to use the situation in Asia, China and India conflict, and its impact, and the world post-COVID war. Welcome, sir, to our show.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you doing, sir?
Well, alhamdulillah, I am fine by grace of Allah.
How's my Pakistan?
Well, Pakistan, these days is in a bit of crisis because of the pandemic and the economic situation. And since we are connected to the world, so we are also affected. But I think we are trying hard to cope up with the situation.
How is Imran Khan and his government doing?
Imran Khan is trying hard, and he's holding meetings on various issues almost every day, and he's often on the TV to speak to the nation and advise them what to do in this pandemic. But the problems, of course, economic, social, about health, about it, are too huge. And he says he will take some time before things really settle down and move in the right direction.
Our prayers are with you, sir, and with Imran Khan. Let's move to the point. Sir, my first question will be the conflict between China and India in Ladakh and a deteriorating situation in Ladakh near the Kashmir region, and Nepalis are jumping into it, and impact on Pakistan. If you can shed some light about the region and the conflict and what impact this conflict will have in Asia, and particularly any impact it may have on Australian participation in Asian regions and their conflicts.
Yes. China took Tibet, and it feels that Tibet is part of China. And it was during the British, when they had colonized India, he said this McMahon line, which was drawn, was not agreed to by the Chinese people. And because of that, problems keep rising ever since, China became independent. And also when India got its freedom, this problem erupted. But some sort of arrangements were made, but they were not totally satisfactory with the ground situation about which area the Chinese should be and which area the Indians should be, which is their area. There was a problem in 1962. And in 1962, there was a war in which China took some important areas of Akasi Chin and others. And after that, they have been resolving their issues by dialogue through political means. But in the last few months, I think Indians have become overactive on their borders. They are developing and making strategic roads, bunkers, and defense installations in an area of Ladakh, Galwan Valley, others, which China feels is their territory. And
Yep.
the line is known as line of actual control. Chinese
Yep.
think that India has crossed that line of actual control and has ingressed into Chinese territory. And these problems could not be solved by meetings at the military level by the local commanders. Then this was raised to
Yep.
Major General level. It was still not resolved. And they thought after this, India continues to ingress into their area. So there was, a few days back, clash between them, in which they say between 20 to 30 people of Indian
Yep.
they died, and India claimed
Yep.
that some Chinese also have died, and there is a sort of stalemate. And China says that we don't want to come to your territory, but please get out of this our area.
Yep.
And they said we are ready to talk to you. So this is where the matter stands. India has expansionist
Yep.
design. It is, all the time busy fighting with Pakistan, with Nepal, with everybody around them. And
Yep.
it objects, India objects that the CPEC, which is, this bo- this road and
I'm coming to that.
communication.
I'm coming to that
Yeah.
point.
Okay, okay.
Sir, what,
So the
sir, what you
problem is
think
on.
that uh,
The problem is on, and
what you think?
now
What is the reason now that China has taken action?
you see,
Whether the reason is abrogation of Section 370,
that is
370 by removing the independent status of Ladakh and Kashmir, is this the
yes,
reason or the reason of restoration of the old Silk Route? And India doesn't want to be a part of the CPEC, and he doesn't want the old Silk Route to be safe and sound for China and Pakistan to trade. Is that the reason, or abrogation of the 370 to change the status of the area is the reason of this conflict?
yes, abrogation of the old order by bringing in 370 the constitution is one reason. But before
Yeah,
that, even before that, India was making strategic roads in the area, making bunkers, making strengthening airfields, and building up more forces there, which was of course creating tension. And I think this Article 370 was the
yeah,
last straw on their back. And the Chinese thought that they are trying to threaten the Karakoram Highway and the CPEC projects in
yeah.
Gilgit-Baltistan area, and that is also one reason that this conflict
Yeah.
erupted.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So moving from this question, could you make some understanding to my viewers that what will be the impact if uh, China stayed there in Ladakh and Indian army pushed back, and India is claiming that Ladakh is a part of India, and Chinese are now claiming that Ladakh is part of China, and Nepalese are saying that Kalapani is a part of the Nepal, and they are pushing Indian army back. What will be the impact? Do you see any full-blown war in that region?
Well, I think China is very mature and it wants to avoid war at all costs. This has been their policy. But of course, it does not accept any, illegal occupation of their territory either. And America is trying to back China by saying that we are behind you and you must confront China because you're also a regional power. And I think that's the reason that they are talking too big, much beyond their potential, what they can achieve. And the Americans are now, leaving Afghanistan, and I think in the Pacific also, China is increasing its sea power, and especially the states of Malacca and others. And I think Australia is on the side of
Yes, correct.
India and America, and India has recently concluded a treatment of logistics with the Australian vessels so that their navy can use their
Yes, that's
bases or for refueling or whatever. So this shows that Australia may also be feeling threatened, but the fact is that China has emerged as one of the world powers, And after
Yes, sir.
pandemic, people think that China's policies are better for winning the hearts and mind of people and doing good to their territories by development of infrastructure and other projects, whereas America has always been using force to destroy countries like Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, etc. So I think people are liking Chinese policies more, and it is emerging and challenging the sole superpower, USA, and I think it will certainly have far-reaching effects on the region. And
On the issue of
you have seen European Union. They have clearly said that America is losing its leadership role, and they say that we must align with Asia, the rising powers of Asia, which they mean China. So this should be a clear indication as to how the world order is now shaping up.
yes, thank you, sir. Sir, the general perception here in Australia, because we have two major parties, Liberal and Labor, and both parties they think that we have a natural alliance with America. After the Second World War, America has saved Australia, and since then we have an alliance with America. But at the same time, China is a emerging superpower, and as European have seen this, but Australian have not seen yet. So, what would you say to Australian politicians to do? How they can place themselves in future in order to counter or order to be a part of the new world order or new China or new superpower of China? What should they do?
I think it is for them to think hard. Their intellectuals, their diplomats, their politicians, and they must realize that America is certainly a declining power. European Union is pulling away from them, and many countries are now realizing that
Yeah.
China is the emerging superpower. And with this bloc in Asia of Russia, China, and others, it can be a very strong unit, and for which it will be better not to challenge them, not to confront them, but to cooperate with them for mutual benefit of Australia and China.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you think that we are going into, the world is going into a Cold War era once again?
Well, yes, to some extent, yes. But as I said, alignments are changing. At one time, Europe
Yeah.
American nuclear, but now, I mean, the European Parliament is saying that we have to now, relook at our strategic direction, and they are aligning, and they say we must develop relations with China. So this clearly shows that where the emerging powers is going to be, and I think the world will start, moving in that direction, and it may for some time there may be a cold war, but now, for example, people for their national interest will not just because of politics side with America for nothing. They want something in return, which I think America will not be able to in a position to give them.
Yeah, sir. One very disturbing point, which we are looking on the media and particularly Indian media, and also on some social media as well, that Modi is preparing a war with Pakistan in order to divert the internal pressure which has been exerted on him by China. So, how likely is that true?
Yes, there is a lot of rhetoric by Modi himself and by his army, by their defense minister, by their interior minister, and others. But I think they should know that they're not in a position these days to launch any major offensive. They must learn their lessons from last February when they tried strike. They were humbled, And they should realize that Pakistan Army has gone through a lot of problems in the last 15 years, reclaiming territories from the terrorists, which had been lost to them,
Yeah.
and government grip was lost in Sawat and
Yes.
Fata and other areas. And it is a battle-hardened army. Its morale is high, it is highly disciplined, highly professional, with very strong teeth. And whereas in India, there are many suicides in their army these days. They have a caste system. Their officers don't treat their men well. And second is see their internal situation. With Modi's new citizen laws, they have annoyed
Yeah.
all minorities of India, and they are not small minority. Muslims are as much in India as in Pakistan. So if Dalits are angry, if Muslims are
Yeah.
angry, if Christians are angry, if Buddhists are angry, if everybody is angry, so this is the internal situation. Economic situation is bad. China is on their neck. Nepal is showing them their eyes. How dare they attack or make a
Yes.
wrong decision of attacking Pakistan?
Yep.
They will suffer. They will suffer very badly. They will repent very badly.
Sir, we are so much worried about the lockdown in Kashmir. Now it's a 10 month, and we understand the people are suffering from the last 10 months. Highly militarized zone generated by the Indian army under the Modi regime. Sir, after this Ladakh and Nepal changing situation, would that be anywhere impact or support the Kashmiri freedom movement?
Certainly, yes. When the Kashmiris see that these 700,000 Indian forces which have occupied Kashmir and for last 72 years are playing havoc against them and using all types of force against them and trying to subjugate them, they have failed to do so. And now, when they see that India is getting a thrashing from China and a country like Nepal is showing them their eyes, I think it will give a boost to the morale of the Kashmiris in the occupied region. And if, God forbid, hostilities break out in Ladakh, and if hostilities break out on the Nepal border, and then certainly Kashmiris may also rise to get rid of the Indian domination in Kashmir.
Thank you, sir. So let's talk a little bit more on lighter notes about Pakistan. Recently, one of the PTI friendly political party, Mangal Group, has left PTI. So would that make any impact on Imran Khan's efforts to counter terrorism, counter corruption in the country?
Well,
I think
not at the moment.
our connection
Unfortunately,
has
the
been
majority
lost.
of 8% still there in majority. And I think the negotiations have started with the Mangal party. And I hope that they will be able to control the situation for the time being, it seems. And I don't think Imran Khan will revive his policy against corruption under the circumstances. On that, he's very firm because he says, I came into power with this slogan that we will try to end corruption in Pakistan. So he's trying hard in this field. And I think there is no immediate
Sir,
threat, I think, to his government.
in the last 20 years, in the last 20 years, at least this is the second party came into power with the slogan of accountability. Pervez Musharraf came in when you guys ruled the country for 11 years, and he announced that there will be accountability of all sorts of all sorts of department in the country, and now Imran Khan. But as a outsider, as a Pakistani living in Australia, I have not seen the fruits of that accountability so far in the country. What would you say?
I agree with you. uh, to quite an extent, because during Pervez Musharraf days when he enacted the NAB, National Accounting Bureau laws, it was very much appreciated. But even during his own time, when he had put NAB on the ground to control corruption and do accountability, even at that time, I think certain principles were compromised by him, and people thought that it was being used as political engineering. All those people who want to join CAF League or be on the government party, government side, their cases were pending, or NAB was soft on them, and it was hard on the political opponents. So that way, the credibility was lost. But all the same, NAB did recover about 300 billion rupees from corrupt people, which is not bad performance. And that is the only accountability institution in Pakistan which people fear as compared to anti-corruption or FIA or anybody else. But I think NAB laws have to be relooked, and NAB itself, to save institution and its reputation has to be very neutral, politically neutral, and across the board accountability has to be done to restore the confidence of people in NAB. Lot needs yet to be done. Unlike China, where they are very strict and they sometimes shoot the corrupt people, including their ministers, we can't have such draconian laws in Pakistan, being a democracy. But I think we are trying.
Sir,
But it is very sad to.
I think the Pakistan needs those draconian laws in order to counter the corruption. Anyway, that is debatable. I understand that. Sir, last question. I am living in Australia for the last 26 years. I have seen that only one head of state, the former President Musharraf, came here some time ago, and he delivered a speech, and he met with the community, he went with Australia, and relationship with Pakistan become very strong since then. But after Musharraf, there is no effort on both sides. I have not seen a ministerial level or head of state level visits, either Australian to Pakistan or Pakistani to Australia. So, would you say any? Would you have any comments on that?
Yes, as an interior minister, I was invited to Australia several times by their foreign minister and by their interior minister. And we held several conferences in Indonesia and Malaysia, in Bali, regarding human smuggling, regarding narcotics, regarding issues of immigrants, etc. And we had very cordial relations with the Australian ministers. At least I had very good rapport with them. And but I couldn't make it to Australia in spite of their several invitations. The reason being that I traveled very little outside. My plate was full as the interior minister with problems in the country, and I was rather shy to take a rather very long
We
journey
would
to
love you to
Australia,
come and visit us here.
which I regret that I should have. But I remember there are many Pakistanis who study there, who work there, and I think we have in Australia as well as in New Zealand. And I think it's a very important country for Pakistan to learn many things in the field of agriculture, in the
You can,
field of
sir. I
technology.
have to wrap up.
And I
And
think we
thank you very much for your time. Stay blessed.
yes, if I'm invited, I will come. Now I will try.
So
Not as
you
a
have
stranger, but
invite
as
invitation from us today, but we will try
okay.
our best to get political and state level invitation for you in coming weeks. Thank you for your time
Okay.
today. We will keep in touch,
Well, thank you
and
very
thank you
much. Nice talking to you.
for making such a
Thank you very much.
thank
Very
you,
kind of you.
viewers. Hope you have enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next week with another guest, and we will try to bring as many as the important people for you to understand the post-COVID situation in the world. Stay in touch and keep watching To The Point with Ejaz Khan.